Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you. And the first of the X299 motherboards are starting to arrive. MSI at first to the punch. Again this time around. X299 I hear you asking. Well, it's basically the replacement for X99. We have a brand new socket. We've gone from, I think I'm allowed to talk about the pins, but we've gone from 2011 pins to 2066. So we've got a new socket. We've got new stuff on the board. There's going to be new CPUs. I'm going to talk to you about a lot of it. Now, I do want to say right at the very beginning, we are still technically under a lot of NDAs, but MSI have said to me I am allowed to do a preview. I'm allowed to talk about the board and the features that they've got on the board and all that sort of stuff. I'm not allowed to talk about any CPU performance or anything like that. Those reviews will come later. You're just going to have to sit and be patient. But I know, thanks to that, like I said, they've emailed me today and said they've given me the all clear for me to do a preview. So if that's wrong, I apologise to Intel. Go and moan at MSI. It's not my fault. I got told I was allowed. Anyway, so yes, we do have the board. But I did just want to show you a few of the bits that are inside of the box as well. There are a few bits and bobs. They're doing a lot of talk about their wireless and their Bluetooth performance. You do get a couple of mental antennas. These are magnetic as well. You do get a couple of RGB extender cables as well, which are always very handy. And they've got the grey line on it so that you can tell which one is the 12 volt. Backplate cover, SLI bridge. There's only one SLI bridge as well. So yeah, there's not another one, so only dual SLI, and then you've got a total of 1, 2, 4 SATA cables, should you need them. That's actually kind of a nice plane. They've not got the MSI bit across the top. I actually really like that badge. I wouldn't put it on the outside of my case, I'd feature it in some other way, but the fact that they've actually made the shield plain and taken the MSI off the top, I really like that. I'd like a big one of those. Please, MSI. Then you do get your driver CD, but the driver CD, you do need to remember, the drivers that are on this are going to be the same ones that you get in the box if, for argument's sake, you were to build your system in 6 months' time. So I use this as a kind of like a backup, but if you're going to be building your rig, get onto the MSI website, find your board and download the most recent drivers, just like you would if you were installing a graphics card. So there's a few bits and bobs in there. There's something else that I will talk to you about in more detail in a minute. It's actually very cool as well, but we'll talk about some of the stuff that we're going on about around the back of the box as well. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, 867 megahertz speed max. So I'm going to assume that that's the frequency that it goes at, because it's megahertz and not any kind of like data transfer rate going on. We can see that we've got lights and stuff around the board. You can see that you've got them up here, down on this bit of the heatsink, underneath, all around the side down there. There's one up here and another one up here. Then we've got the system saver, so they've got BIOS flashback is a very common name, as in, yes, we've seen it before, but you can see that you've got CMOS flash button and the BIOS flashback button, and they're saying that there's 3 easy to use options and boot system successfully again, because there's dual BIOS. They're talking about USB 3.1 Gen 2 over here, audio boost. They have a VR ready chip on the back as well to speed up any USB connections and stuff that you might have that are running on VR. There's all kinds of stuff to do with VR. It's something that they're playing a big change a lot on. You can completely change the look and feel of your system. I will show you this in a minute. And it's got Mystic Light as well. Now the Mystic Light, they are working really hard on this. So yes, it controls the stuff on the board, but it can also control third-party headsets, keyboards, mice, all kinds of stuff now. Memory is another one. They're all kind of fighting it. I wish someone would just come up with a basic set of, like an industry standard for RGB that they could all work towards. I don't know why that couldn't be done quite easily, really. It'd certainly save a lot of hassle anyway. But the Mystic Light, I do know it works with an awful lot of stuff. Pretty much everything that Corsair make now will work with Mystic Light. So that's just to kind of chuck a brand there at you. But anyway, I haven't actually mentioned the fact that it's the X299 Gaming Pro Carbon AC yet. Probably should have started with that, really. What we can also do is have a look down here, and you can see that you've got the BIOS flashback and the CMOS clear button. This is your gaming zone, so if you've got your keyboard and your mouse, you put that in there. USB 3.1 Gen 1 down here, USB 3.1 Gen 2 here, your audio section and your LAN. Now I'm looking around for the LAN, but in the paperwork, oh no, it does say here, Intel 219 gigabit LAN, absolutely pucker. There was a lot of talk about killer in the paperwork, but I have a personal preference for the Intel LAN stuff. Anyway, so CPU itself. It is quite a plain and understated board, which I like a lot. Around the outside of the board, we've got the carbon look parts. Now, all of these carbon look parts can come off. I kid you not, they can come off. And in the box, you do get gold and silver versions. Now, I've taken some pictures so that I can bring it, up the gold so that you can have a look. And the silver. Now, they did send me in a wooden box a very cool set of more kind of bronzy looking gold. If I show you the two golds there, but it's another gold, but one that's a lot deeper. And then they've sent blue ones as well. Now you can see on this one and this one, it's got OC3D.net. Now the blue would have gone with the old website, but it doesn't now, and I personally absolutely hate blue. It's a lovely idea, but really for me, I needed to open that up and they needed to be red and white. And then I probably would have been having nerdgasms all over the place, and I probably would have been throwing awards around like they were sweets. But it's a lovely touch. It shows that they're actually, they do care about the press. I know other sites have got these as well. It's not just me that's got them. But this is a really nice touch. I actually really like this, and I really appreciate it as well. It's just a shame that they've sent us all the same colours rather than tailoring it. But with the ones that you get in the actual box itself, like I said, you get the gold and the silver. If you didn't, for argument's sake, like the gold or silver, the fact that they come off means that they're very easily painted. So weekend project, it's a OC3D kind of thing that I'm trying to start. It's a weekend project job. Really easy to sand and paint, bit of plastic primer, bit of paint on the top, bosh, real easy. And they literally do just, you have to go a bit careful with them, but they do pull off. So you can get them on and off, really simple, and you're away. So, other things for us to talk about before we go and have an up-close look around the board is there's I've got some PDF stuff that they've sent, and it's easy for us to show you. And you can see here the CPU transition from X299 from X99 to X299. Now, at the moment, these are the X299 CPUs, or base and full stuff, Kaby Lake X and Skylake X stuff that we know about. There may be more that come later, but this is about all that we're going to know about for the time being. So you can see there we've got a lot of PCI Express lanes and stuff to talk about. Then when we go, this is an overview of the chipset. So the chipset itself has up to 24 PCI Express lanes. But then you also get more lanes on the CPU. So that's something else. So the 24 lanes that you get there is just what's on the chipset. That's nothing to do with graphics card lanes at all. The CPUs can go up to 44 lanes on their own. So you can do the maths. It's mental. There's so many PCI Express lanes available with these. It's ridiculous. But it's all board dependent. It's all CPU dependent. Then we've got up to 10 USB 3.1 Gen 1s. Octane is obviously one that it can do that we can talk about. The X series processor has got up to 12 cores and 24 threads at the moment, but there may be more coming in later on. Up to quad channel 2666, up to 44 PCI Express 3 lanes. That's something to do with, like I said, that's CPU specific. And then this is a chipset diagram that you can have a look at here. So you can see the 8 PCI Express 2 lanes for the X99 chipset. Easily look across at the other one, at the X299, and you can see 24 there. So, and at the top, something else to talk about there is the DMI there. DMI2, we're now on DMI3. It's gone from 20 to 32 gigabits per second bandwidth on the new DMI. So there's a fair bit that they've changed. It's not a minor increase on this one, so that's pretty good. Now, this is something that I thought was worth kind of noting, and I think that this kind of shows that this might not have been the most planned thing in the world, and we may have ended up with stuff getting added in, maybe possibly because of Ryzen. And that's, if you look in the middle, you can see that you've got the quad channel, the 7, 8, whatever it is, 6 cores. They run with 2400 megahertz memory. Now, you do need to remember that that says 2400, but they're more than likely going to run much, much quicker. Days gone by, it says 2400, and we've had memory kits running, you know, like 3600, 4000. So these are just like the absolute basics. But the fact that one says 2400 and the below ones and the above ones actually say 2666 kind of shows you that that may have been kind of nailed in the middle, and it's, I don't know, that's something that I'm going to be keeping an eye on and trying to work out why they're different. I will be asking the questions anyway. Anyway, this is another one where it gets confusing, but it's all going to be CPU and board dependent again. But you've got 4-way SLI and 3 and 2-way SLI, and like I said, this is going to the boards and the CPUs and the combinations and stuff. It is going to end up being quite confusing. But do you know what I mean? There's not a lot that we can do about it, and also until I can do full and proper reviews, there's not a lot we can do about it either. Give you another splash up about the CPUs that are coming, because we are going to be getting an i5 and an i7 on this one. Before, the CPU started at a 6 core, but now we're getting 4 cores, 4 threads, and 4 cores, 8 threads. This is a lot of CPU talk, but it's all stuff to do with the board, so I've been given the green light to be able to talk about it. And then a splash up that we can put up so that you can pick apart the actual platform comparisons if you want to. So it's all kind of interesting stuff. It's all new stuff. Like I said, I'm not sure what I'm allowed to talk about, not sure what I'm not allowed to talk about. So, you know, I'm just going to whiz on through. Anyway, it's a big old beefy board. It's quad channel, so you've got memory both sides. You can see that we've got the memory. I'm going to zoom you in just so you can see a bit better. You can see that you've got the memory shields around the outside. I actually really like the look of the board. You can see that there's a lot of chokes and phases all underneath there. You can also, oh, you can see Sheldon behind the thing. Anyway, so there's a lot of chokes and stuff going on. You can see that there's an 8-pin and a 6-pin up here. When you do end up coming to use it, use the 8-pin. You probably won't ever need to use this. It's a bit weird, there's only one CPU fan though. Over here there's a pump fan header. This is up to 2 amps as well, and then you've got sysfan 1. There's no header around here for the back fan in your case or anything like that, and having the CPU up here and only one header, I kind of think on a premium expensive board like this we needed at least 2 of those. There definitely needed to be one of these down here as well. So it's all a bit, I know there's a lot on the board, but for fan headers I'm not so sure that there's enough until you get down the bottom and you've got 3 in a line down here. But that's pretty much it, because there are none down the side or anything like that. So if you end up getting this board and you're planning on using the onboard fan headers, if you've got a CPU with a couple of fans on it, or you've got an AIO or something like that, then you're going to be using this one for that. Get yourself a PWM splitter, and then for the front of the cases and stuff, I'm probably going to be suggesting that you get PWM splitters as well. They're quite safe, as long as you're not dangling loads and loads of fans off of them, it's really not going to matter. Anyway, PCI poster up here for fault finding, nice touch. You've got a vertical and a horizontal USB 3 case, but you've also got the USB 3.1, although I've not seen any cases with USB 3.1 on just yet. Just noticed that that had come off. So we've got 6 SATAs down the side. You've got a U.2, you've got another 2 SATAs there, power and reset button. This is an automatic kind of switchable overclocking button, although when I've used these in the past, they absolutely rage the volt. So it's kind of a noob switch. I would stress you to try and learn how to do it manually rather than use that. And I always say the same thing as well, so it's not a new thing that I'm going on about. You do get 2 USB 2 internals. That's a really nice thing, because there's been a lot of these that have been popping up where you've only got one, and it ends up being a pain in the bottom if you end up with an AIO and other stuff like a power supply or something that needs the headers. But you can get internal hubs now, so you plug one in and it gives you like 4 connections. So there are options available out there if you're worried about it. The audio down the side, I've not been given a great deal of information about what's going on with the audio, but you can see the gold Japanese capacitors down the sides, and that's obviously a nice touch, because some of us are not, you know, better onboard audio means less kind of cards and add-ins and stuff, unless you're running a USB external DAC like I do, and that's pretty much, these are getting so good now that you pretty much use this, or you get a really expensive sort of like £80, £100 plus add-in card, or you just get an external DAC. The other thing that I can say to you about is these USB PCI Express 1s, but they are PCI Express 2. It's all confusing, yes I know, but it's just one lane anyway. These are wired into the chipset, not into the CPU. If you use any of these, that comes from the CPU side of things. 2 M.2s, and they've got covers on them, so you've got a nice big long one here that goes up to 110. This one is only up to 80. We'll see whether the actual those coolers actually do anything. There's thermal pads and stuff on them, but we'll see whether they actually keep things cool or not when we do get to actually get to test them. This one is obviously right under where your first graphics card is going to be, so I would be inclined to be running this one as my primary to keep it away from the heat. And then when we come around the back, we showed you on the back of the box anyway, but there's your, you know, your connections. You can see that there we've got gold plated on the audio, you've got your Wi-Fi and you've got your Bluetooth. This is your BIOS flashback USB. This is your game zone for you to connect your PS2 or your keyboard and your mouse in. There's lots of software on the CD as well, where you can use your F keys on the board to do specific macros and stuff. A lot of the motherboard manufacturers are running the very similar kind of software. One does it, the other ones think it's a good idea, and then they just all end up doing it. It's a bit like BIOS flashback. The fact that they've all actually using the same name as well just ends up making it just confusing. Come on, boys. Anyway, I think it's a very pretty board. I actually did like it with the silver bits on it as well. I put the carbon back on just so that you can see the way that it was and the way that it comes out of the box. We've obviously got quite a bit of power going on around the top, and they're shouting about the fact that it's a high-end components, although this is what I would say is one of their mid-range boards. They've actually got boards below this, and they've got one that's much more above it as well. But the fact that we've got these interchangeable heat sinks, even if you don't like the ones that are in the box, I actually really like the idea, because if you don't like the carbon, you can switch them out for silver or gold, and then if you don't like silver or gold, at least you've got something that you can take and you can paint, and you've got options available there, and you don't have to take all the heat sinks off and do kind of scary stuff with screwdrivers and all that sort of stuff. If you can just pull these off and replace them with ones that you've either customized yourself. You could even do it with vinyl if you don't want to do it with paint. You can get some Dynoc or some decent 3M vinyl off of eBay. It's not expensive, and just wrap them. I mean, the world is your lobster. To be honest with you, if it was me and I was going full-on custom colour coding and all that sort of stuff, I'd be changing the caps, and then the silver lines that are around here, I would get some modelling enamel paint, so Humbrol stuff, and I'd pick these silver bits out in a contrasting colour. So if it was me, for argument's sake, I'd probably have maybe the caps I might have white, and then the silver bits I might paint them red or something, so that you've got a contrasting colour in there. So there's loads of little things that you can do with this, and the fact that I've not even tested it and it's already making me want to mod it, it says pretty good things. So MSI have laid down the gauntlet. They got me the first X299 board through the door, so they got the first preview. Let's going to be interesting to see what's going to arrive over the next couple of weeks. So keep an eye on the channel, peeps, because I will be uploading them thick and fast. As soon as I can get them, I'll work my butt off. Yes, we'll stop, but I will work my bottom off to try and get them up for you as quickly as possible. But for now, at least, with this first new Intel X299 motherboard, thank you very much, MSI. Ding!